دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to yet another program of Gaza Massacre. And first we'll start with some updates that happened today. The Israeli ground forces are still advancing towards Gaza City on the 16th day of the massacre. The death toll is nearing 900 and the injured more than 4,000. Reports say that Israel carried out heavy attacks in Jabaliyah in the northern Gaza today, despite it being the time of calm for aid to enter. Thousands rallied against the Gaza offensive in Spain, in Austria, in Hong Kong, and Indonesia. As for Indonesia, more than 50,000 protesters came out to show their anger at what is happening there in Gaza. Well, today on the Gaza Massacre, we'll talk more, not about the war only, but some of the ripple effects. And what we mean by ripple effects, the economic ripple effects on not Gaza itself, but on the region around it. And to talk more about this, we have with us Mr. Amr Saleh, the professor of political economy. Welcome to Gaza Massacre. It's a quite sad situation, the 16th day, and still no one.
It's a sad day. It's a sad month.
Okay.
It's a sad beginning of the year.
It's true. Talking about the war and what's happening there. Let's look at at Israel. The oppressive country. Sometimes we look at the news and wonder, where do they get the money from to afford such an offensive, using all the different methods of strikes, air strikes, the navy, ground strikes, the tanks? Where are they getting this money from?
Well, it's true that Israel is a small country, but Israel could afford such a war. And the diversification of the Israeli economy is an example. Israel depends on tourism, on industry, and mainly on industry and on exports. Let's mention that the Israeli economy depends mainly on industry that have a very, very high added value, such as technology, high tech, computer, arm, electronics, and that's why the Israeli economy could afford such a war. Let's add to that Israel is linked to the United States and to Europe, and that the Jewish state have a strong economic relation and ties with those two blocks through economic relations, and also through economic agreements, free trade agreements.
Yes.
And this is one of the major sources of income to Israel. Israel depends a lot on aid, especially military aid, and we know that Egypt and Israel also are one of the two major countries receiving foreign aid, especially from the United States. But however, we all know also that the United States made Israel a counterpart, and that the United States, whether we will give importance or not to the aid, but we all know that the United States wanted always to make sure that Israel will have a supremacy in the region, whether we're talking about economic supremacy or militaries. Yeah.
But what is America's interest in Israel? Why are they aiding them?
Well, we know that there is an economic strong relation between the two countries, but we know that ideologically there is a strong relation, religious relation between Jewish and some factions, some groups in the United States, especially President Bush, the Bush administration, and other political groups, and also between Israel and very powerful economic groups and economic institutions in the United States, and we all know that the lobbies, the Israeli lobbies and the Jewish lobbies are important in Western countries, especially in Europe and in the United States. The third relation is an historical relation, and some Americans will tell you that the United States sees itself when they talk about Israel. For the American, Israel is a country of freedom that came into a dark, obscure region to create a country, a democratic country, and to coming in a land where there were no interest by its people. So and they built a democracy in this part of the world, and built civilization. That's why some Americans will tell you that Israel is a model, like the United States was 200 years ago.
But this aid, do you see it continuing when Barack Obama takes office? Do you see, or would he cut back?
It will continue, because we always talk about institutionalization of policies. I mean, policies in the United States and even in Europe are made through sustainable sustainable strategies that do not change with people. We talk about institutions. In the United States and Europe are countries that follows institutional history and institutional background. And because these countries, especially in the United States, are driven by institutions, I don't think that the Barack Obama's administration will change a lot. But I think that maybe this is one of the reasons that were not said by a lot of observers, and I didn't hear it. But I think that the timing of the attack on Gaza is very important. It comes a few days before the nomination of Barack Obama as President of the United States. And I think that Israel might find difficulties in the future to get a green light from Barack Obama himself. That's why Israel had to undertake this attack a few days before seeing Barack Obama in the White House.
Let's look at Israel. I mean, there's an article posted by the Jerusalem Post saying that this war would have a less threat to its economy than the war against Hezbollah 2 years ago. And then there's another one saying that Israel was warned on Wednesday by one of its central bank that after the attack on Gaza that the economy is set for a steep slowdown.
However,
I mean, which is true. I mean,
both information are true, but the first information said that the impact of the war on Israel is less.
It's less.
Because the impact of the damage by Hezbollah was much bigger, and even we talked about a defeat of the Israeli troops in Lebanon, and this didn't happen in Gaza. We didn't see any troops of Hamas. We didn't see, any real opposition of Hamas, despite the Hamas propaganda and despite the arms that Hamas said that they have, and they got through tunnels through Egypt or other countries. I mean, we didn't see any military offensive from Hamas. And therefore the damage caused by Hezbollah in 2006 is much more bigger than what happened days ago. And
yes, the article went on to say it might even give the economy a boost.
No, I don't think so. The only income that Israel will get is aid, foreign aid, military aid, maybe economic aid.
Solely from America.
Yeah, from America or from private institutions. But we will not talk about increase of economic growth, and this is important. We all remember the billion of dollars that Israel lost in Lebanon, and we all remember the sad days and the dark days that Israel lived after the war in Lebanon. And also let's remember that the war of Israel in Lebanon left the Israeli society divided.
Yes, looking at the present war as well, I mean, it's costing Israel, some reports say, between 25 to 50 million.
Yeah, at the beginning they said that the cost will be estimated at $1 million a day, and then after the entry of the Israeli troops in Gaza, we had an increase of the budget, and some reports mentioned that the cost will reach $25 million a day, even $50 million a day.
Yes.
And what's moreover a decrease of economic and touristic activities in Israel also.
It's been mentioned that most of the tourist activities have been closed down.
Even in Egypt,
well as some companies
I think we'll talk about the Arab countries later. Yeah.
I mean, they were able to afford a 34-year day offensive in Lebanon. We're on the 16th day today. I mean, how much more Israel can afford?
Well, from an economic point of view, Israel is losing a lot of money, and I'm not quite sure that Israel will continue this war even in February. I think that by the end of the month we will see, especially that we've seen the Security Council requesting, ordering the Israeli troops and Hamas to cease fire. But I think that maybe we will have a week or though, because the war is very expensive for Israel and for the Israeli economy also.
Okay, let's look at Palestine now. Let's move from Israel to Palestine. What are their economic situations?
It's very sad. It's very sad. Let me refer to economists, to British economists that said that in the year 2000, around 26% of the Palestinians were living under the poverty line. Nowadays, we have more than 81% of the Palestinians, even in Gaza, especially in Gaza, more than 81% of the Palestinians living under the poverty line. This is a lot, and we know that according to international reports that the Palestinian economy is one of the poorest economy in the world. It's not only poor, but it is a catastrophe. It is one of the most damaged, and I'm repeating the word again, it's one of the most damaged economy in the world. The Palestinian Authority and the territories depends mainly on two sources of income. The first source is the aid, foreign aid, and we remember that foreign countries and Western countries and even some Arab countries were giving some $1.2 billion a year for the Palestinians, in addition to $50 million a year coming from economic and commercial activities and custom duties and taxes taken by the Israeli and given to the Palestinians. So what happened after the Hamas came to power? We had an embargo, we had economic sanctions, political sanctions. Most of the money that were paid to the Palestinians are suspended. Israel is not paying the custom duties or the taxes that had been collected by the Israeli and should be given to the Palestinians are not given to the Palestinians. We all remember the different crises that happened, especially to the administration, to the public administration in Palestine.
Yes.
And we remember that the prime minister, the former prime minister in Gaza, Haniya, had to travel to Saudi Arabia and to Iran to bring money to the public administration, to the Palestinian administration. So we are witnessing actually one of the most catastrophic economy in the world.
Okay, we'll talk about the future of Palestine, the future of Israel.
Let's talk about unemployment, maybe, if you would like to.
We'll take a short break and we'll return back to you, Mr. Amr Saleh. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You know, sometimes it's important to take a break. We need to take a break. Take a break from what? From the everyday things to look at what we're really doing as Muslims. That's why we said we really need to have this program for you and for me to take a break right here on Huda TV. Stay with us because we've got a lot coming up on Take a Break.
And if you look into the early tafsir, early exegesis of the Quran, you will find that all the Mufassirin were trying to find out where are the seven earths. Earthquakes, natural or artificial, can delineate the boundaries between seven different zones within the earth. The conclusion that we have seven different layers within the earth came to not only the 20th century. The true believer would prostrate down in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessings of that prostration will reach the seventh earth.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're watching Gaza Massacre. We're joined now on the telephone by Dr. Saleh Al-Wahibi, and he is the General Secretary of WAMI. Assalamu alaikum, Doctor, and welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much.
Okay, Doctor, most of the aid agencies in Palestine are describing the situation as a full-blown humanitarian crisis. Can you just shed some light on what is the role of charitable organization towards aiding the people of Gaza?
Well, let me please say that the situation in Gaza has been deteriorating for the last a few years. Especially in the last 2 years, the humanitarian situation has reached a very acute levels and situations. Mm-hmm. So whatever the humanitarian organizations, whether Islamic or Western or anyhow, can do, they could only contribute to a small part of improvement in the Gaza society in particular and in Palestine in general. However, WAMI was one of the organizations, Islamic organizations working there. We have an office in Gaza. So we have been for the last 30 years working in Palestine and watching the situation very closely.
Yes.
But nowadays, with the embargo, with the siege on Gaza,
yes.
We were in fact almost prohibited to do our humanitarian work, either by the Israeli occupation or by some of the neighbors of now Gaza.
Okay.
But we are trying now, working through Rafah in particular,
yes.
With some medication and medical supplies.
Yes.
And we are trying to work with many humanitarian organizations and with the UNRWA
yes.
To provide some assistance to the people in Gaza. We are trying through WAMI's office and through many organizations which are members with WAMI, but we are waiting permission.
Dr. Saleh, in this massacre, how do you evaluate the situation?
Well,
is it far worse than before?
See, the situation is by every means is inhumane, and no doubt it's aggression that probably has no precedent in the modern Arab and Muslim history.
Yes.
And with the siege, with the aggression from one part, attacking civilians and civilians' targets and trying to just destroy and ruin everything that is vital to more than 1.5 million people in a small and very sieged province of which is called Gaza.
Yes.
So it's very brutal, and we have an enemy which is merciless and with a huge vigor,
yes,
and with very modern American and non-American weapons.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the people in Gaza, the Palestinians, are left to their fate by most of the Arab, politicians.
Yes.
And it's I would say a sort of conspiracy against the people of Gaza. The Western people, American and Europe, are playing it in a very dirty manner.
Yes.
And most of the people in the Arab world are playing it with a very crowdly manner.
Okay, Dr. Saleh, if one of our viewers would like to subscribe to the aid that the efforts that you're making, how do they do it?
Well, they can just contribute to our accounts or contribute to our offices, and so we accept only money.
Okay.
We cannot, unfortunately, we cannot take any supplies to now inside Gaza. We are trying to buy from inside Gaza to give the people, to feed the people there.
Okay.
And outside Gaza, we are now hoping that the UNRWA will be given the opportunity to work again. And we do not trust the Israelis at all, because they say that they did, but they will never do it.
Okay.
And
okay.
if they did it, they do it in a very partial manner. And they are not to trust at all.
Okay. Dr. Saleh Al-Wahibi, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Well, that was Dr. Saleh Al-Wahibi, the General Secretary of the World Muslim Youth. We were talking before the break about Palestine and the economic crisis as well that's going on there. What was the war doing to the future of Palestine economically?
I think that there is no future for Palestine under these conditions. There was no future from the economic point of view. We talked about unemployment, we talk about the decrease of economic growth, we talk about the damage of exports, the damage of the infrastructures. We've seen the great damage done to the industrial, the very poor and the very limited industrial infrastructure in Gaza. So I do not think that the economy, the Palestinian economy, will have a future under the occupation. I hope, and let me remind you that of the several promises made by the United States and by President George Bush. And correct me if I'm wrong. You remember when we had the series of economic activities and links, administrative links between the Palestinian territories and Israel years ago. Let me remind you that President Bush said that we will have Dubai on the Mediterranean, and we will have one of the most and fastest growing economy in the region. We didn't see any Dubai or any economy. On the contrary, we've seen poverty, we were seeing a decrease of economic activities, and we have seen embargo, and we've seen more weakness concerning the Palestinian social and economic infrastructure.
Okay, let's look into the immediate future. If the war finishes tomorrow, do we see the Palestinian rebuilding? Do we see the Ummah coming together?
We will see sure. The Sham people, and when I'm talking about the Sham, I'm talking about the old Sham. I mean, Palestinians, Lebanese, and Syrian, and these countries have an impressive history with reconstruction. And we will see the Palestinian rebuilding the territory. We will see reconstruction in Gaza, especially that a lot of Arab countries
are they going to help?
Yes, and I'll give a lot of tribute and to countries like Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but we have just half a minute, and just the point I want to get over to you. I mean, if the Arab countries are going to help in the future, why is it they're so hesitant to help right now when the help is really needed?
Well, financial help is there. I mean, what can Arab countries do? Are you calling for a war between Arab countries and Israel? And this will not happen. I mean, no military intervention from the Arab countries will happen. But what's happening and what will happen usually, as usual, is that the Arab countries will provide technical assistance and financial assistance to the Palestinians. And I was just saying that the Emirates and the officials in the Emirates said that they will provide more than $1 million to the Palestinian, and this is an important effort for the reconstruction of Gaza.
Saleh, I apologize, but time is up today on Gaza Massacre, and we do hope, inshallah, to have you another time on the program to express some of the views that you have. Today we come to the end of yet another program of Gaza Massacre. We do ask the Muslims from all parts of the world that we can start putting the pressure on Israel ourselves by boycotting all their products and by making du'as for our brothers there in Palestine. Don't forget them in your du'as, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make Palestine in the end the one who will celebrate the victory. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah,